Hello Twitch and hello YouTube. How are you all doing today? Can I just start by saying if you're watching this on YouTube and you haven't hit that like button and hit that subscribe button, please do. It really does help out the channel. The bigger the YouTube channel gets, the more this project reaches. So you can please do that. It'd be a massive help out. So we're here today to show you the first update of the Dragon's Claw, the game I'm designing. The name is still a work in progress. It could change. I don't know yet. If anyone's got any suggestions, just drop them in the comments on the YouTube or the Twitch channel. And I can always look at changing it. I mean, kind of want it based on the game itself, and it's not really much of a game there yet. But it's a work in progress. So, last time I didn't put together like a 2-week plan. I've only just started these 2 weekly vlogs, which I'm going to be doing every 2 weeks. And at the end of the video, I do want to put in a plan of the next 2 weeks I'm going to be doing. Like things I'm going to be focusing on. There's going to be other little bits, niggly bits here and there that I'll be working on, but there's going to be key things I want to work on. So I'm just going to give you an update from last time. None of the levels set up has changed in the slightest, as far as I'm aware. Might be like some movement here and there, like this line here, instead of the knives. I can't remember if that was in last time or not. But as soon as I boot up, the first thing you're going to notice that's different is the text. I put together these little text boxes. These text boxes are totally brand new. They trigger up. As far as I'm aware, like from what I was reading, well, the text is all still the same because it is literally the exact same text with the exact same variable. What I was reading though is if I was superimposing text directly onto the screen, it takes up a lot of memory. I don't know why. Didn't design the thing, but that's what I've been told. So I've built it into this. Basically, it's an image. As you can see as well, there's the typewriter effect that appears from left to right. So it appears one letter at a time. Another thing you're probably going to notice as well, ignore this little bit here at the moment, is the doors. You can now see the characters through the doors, and when it opens, there is a fading in effect of the yellow instead of just it being solid background, which is a nice little addition. I've been messing with the doors because the doors have been a niggling issue of mine, because as I said, I put this together within a week, so I haven't been able to iron out the details. Just things like when I'm transitioning, it now continues to fall onto the ground instead of floating in midair like it was last time. Last time, if you got hit while you were going through a door, it would trigger the damage still and a knockback effect when you came out the door, which I've dealt with as well. Try and get that working here. See, yeah, now he hit me twice actually there. No damage and no knockback effect or anything like that. So I've got a couple of different variants of the text box so far. You saw the bubbly one. This one. It's got blue around the outside for the character's colour. Greyish background with black writing. I've made a couple of alternatives. There's this green background one with the white border. That's going to have multiple text boxes for different things. It's more the layout and colours scheme which I'm looking at right now as an idea. So we've got this alternative. And the green little dots in the corner. Obviously it will be blue for the blue character. I also sorted out one where if player 1 was on the door and went invisible, and player 2 wasn't on the door, it still went through and did the animations, so now they both have to be on the door. Again, just little tweaks like that. This is the other one under blue. At the moment it is kind of rotating through the text, but I'm not worrying about that right now because I'm not going to have standing text like this. That's just going to constantly be rotating. I want to have NPCs here that I interact with in that chat conversation, which is easily doable in this new system as well, because I can just recall reams of text, I can have it press space to go to the, instead of like typewriter through, the full text pops up, and the same button again to go to the next line of text. So yeah, the first week of the 2 weeks I genuinely had off. I was very sick, couldn't do anything. That's why there's been no massive changes in looks or things like that. Oh, and this is the standing text I was talking about. That is still there. I've put 2 signs over doors at the moment, which are and the reputation is going to be built in more as I don't want numbers on the screen. I want numbers on the screen as little as possible. So I'm going to be removing them and more possibly doing the reputation. The NPCs in the actual things will react to you differently if you increase reputation, and their models will be changing as well. They'll become more friendly towards you and more friendly postured and things like that. That's what I'm aiming for in the future. However, that kind of comes down to a later stage development. So I've broken up the game development into 3 sections, 3 phases. Phase 1, which is what I've been working on for the last month and a half now, is the engine development. As I said, everything looks a bit ugly, and that's not going to come for a little bit. Because that's all going to come into the game development side of it, phase 2. Engine development, I have changed things like the jumping mechanics. It's slightly higher, but higher gravity as well. It's trying to the balancing will come at a lot later time as well. However, developing things like text so I can use that consistently throughout the game development mode, just slapping it in there, the text boxes and things like that. Developing camera properly. That's all under the engine development rather than the game development. There's going to be a clear distinction between the 2 of them. Because as you can see at the moment, camera still one player, it follows one player, and the other player is just kind of off screen. It's kind of like a Sonic and Tails effect, I think is the best way of putting it. Follows the Sonic, and then Tails is running off screen and trailing from behind. Oh, I do love some Sonic too. Anyway, that's off topic. So I'm sticking with the reputation system, but as I said, it's not, and including the total reputation. However, I'm not going to have them slapped on the screen like this because I hate just the numbered text just hanging there horribly. So I want to have them like this, whereas I'm going to have different text for different races, different colours for different things. However, the aesthetics of the game I really want to be like a very dark and dingy sort of dungeon. I mean, I think the doors are still a bit too bright, truth be told. But then the colours really stand out. Like the player characters obviously wearing black with these strong colour bandanas. I'll probably be assigning colours to the Shargal, the Vipax, the Furlai, and they'll have like just a feel to them, such as the Dwarn. I want it to be like big bulky because they're defensive sort of things. I want the big bulky text over it, possibly in grey or white, just that mountainous feel. You get what I mean? And yeah, I want each race to feel unique and individual. So yeah, that. As I said, the text box has been the major project for this week. I've set the text boxes up on all of them, and I can easily customize the text because as soon as it hits, it just comes up a variable, and as long as that variable is set to some text, I can change it to whatever I want. And that's the only one in the room. There is still some niggling issues with it. I know I've triggered that mission, so I'm probably not going to get any sort of time bonuses on that, but still some niggling issues. So if we go back into a previous room, because it's a not persistent room, it creates them boxes again. You see, so whenever I come back into this room, it'll trigger them. Looking at getting around that by having like an independent tutorial that's away from the rest of the game. Even if it's just duplicated rooms with the text. But it's easy. That is easy enough to do. Just copy and paste the rooms, remove it, and have the door go to a separate room rather than the original. There's generally no problems with that. Animations as well. You see, it's still flickering a little. I mean, just going to extend the animations. Have a little after the turn. Have a little leg walking animation. Again, that's one of the small things I can pick up on as I go along. So, as I said, I've got 3 phases of development. Phase 1 is the engine development. I've got a list. I've written it all down. Priority number 1 is camera and viewports. Need to sort that out as soon as possible. I want to have the map later on down the line, which will probably come under the engine development, but later on in that. Possibly even game development, I'm not too sure yet, but it's not exactly a priority. However, the camera needs to be number 1. Number 2 is finish off this chat system as well. As I said, I've got the 1 string text at the moment. I can easily build in 2 string texts and things like that. Also, if you've got any ideas for the actual text boxes, I'm thinking as well of adding, well, shrinking it for one because it's massive and taking up a third of the screen at the moment, which is just way too much. But I'm also thinking of adding an image of the player, going back into old school, where it's old school RPGs where conversations happen with boxes with images of the characters where they can emote. It's used quite a lot in the Tell series as well. It's a very simple thing to do, but it's a doable thing, and it's effective. So I'm thinking about going down to that route. But if you've got any ideas of any sort of layout or anything, just drop them in the comments, please, and I'll happily have a look at them. I also want to add in, as number 3, like a wall jump mechanic. So I'm going to just drop out of this one, change the sequence, just to test room. As I said, this is the test room I mess around in quite a lot. Nothing's changed in the test room apart from, let's get you up because your health is still on 0. Also, some of the feedback was they're healing when they're moving together instead of standing together. So I've just switched it to standing only. But I also want a wall jump. So if I jump against the wall, it could jump basically extra double jumps. So I can kind of bounce my way up. As I said, that's probably going to be, if not the tail end of this week, at least starting on it. This period, it will trail on to the next period. It gives more of a movability, even if it's built in now just to disable until we get some sort of upgrade to do that. It's then built in because once I've got the mechanics in place, I can disable them, enable them, put them into the game as when needed. Once they're there, they're there. After that, looking at doing weapon upgrades, different types of weapons that they can use, even if it's just an upgrade to the knives as they go along, as they progress, and collectibles as well. Just at least get some sort of plan for the last 2 of them in place about what sort of collectibles that they can collect as they go along, what they do as they go, whether they're for specific factions. Just get some sort of guideline for them. Even if it's probably just going to be getting the collectibles in place, even if it's just sprite holders, lack of a better way of putting it, and objects that start some sort of code, but then paper planning the rest of it for the time being for when it comes into the game development. So game development, obviously create an actual game. Levels. Level development, NPC character development, that's going to be a huge one because I want each and every character to feel unique and not just like a generic NPC that I don't really care about him sort of thing. More like what's it called? Like a Fire Emblem sort of thing, where each character feels unique and you can get attached to any one of them rather than having them as a whole. Develop the castle is a big one. Instead of just designing levels as levels, which is still going to be a big thing, designing the castle and the areas of the castle that they can go to. One of the other things in the engine development I need to write down is I want some of the areas of the castle to change factions as we go along. So starting off with all of the castle being controlled by the guards, and as each and every one of them becomes unlocked, some sort of random faction weighted in certain ways depending on which ones you're helping take over that area of the castle, and then separate enemies appear. So if you're allied with them, they won't attack you, they won't damage you. If you're not allied with them, they'll come at you and start trying to kill you, if you get what I mean. So that's kind of going to be the plan as the castle. Well, I keep calling it a castle, it's not even a castle, it's a prison. So there's lots of areas of prison I can actually go into that. Develop mission structure. So once I trigger a mission, it creates certain things in certain areas, and whether it's go and collect it, go and kill something like that. I'll have loads of different types of missions that I can do on that. Write in a really deep, complex story about the characters. That is something I'm just going to have to sit down and just start typing, and just type reams after reams of text. It literally will just be 2 weeks set aside for just text and implementing into the game. And as I said earlier, the map-based system. Going into phase 3 right at the end, once I've got all of them in place, it's testing the game. Seeing what works, what doesn't work, what needs editing, loads of marketing in that area before release, possibly even early access at that point. But as I said, that's going to be a long way off right now. There you go. Yeah, that is going to be a long way off, so we're going to have to see on that one. That is going to be the overall plan, but that could be a year, 2 years down the line, who knows. I'm going to take it 2 weeks at a time and see how it goes. That being said, I'm sure you're sick of that fireball getting shot off, so the next 2 week plan. Let's pull up my word. Okay, let's build it. That is not a slow dragon. I'm just going to put that on the floor. Oh my lord. Oh my lord. Right, it's taken me about 30 seconds to type one word here. Update. Seriously, I normally type. That's quick. Look for this. I'm just going to put next to. Okay, so as I said, first thing that is super important is sort out camera. This is something I need to sit down and learn. So learn how to code a stretching camera. That's the important bit. As I said, with the camera control specifically, instead of just following the one character, I kind of need it to, when they get to a certain point in the screen starts stretching bigger. That as well as number 2, as the screen stretches, at the moment the text box is set to the center, but it's a set size. So I want to find out how to increase that to the size of the screen, so it always stays the same size of the screen regardless of how stretched out the camera is. So make sure text boxes fit within. No, I'll put stay the same size. Regardless of camera stretch. I swear, as soon as I go live and start trying to work properly, it becomes a nightmare. So 2 weeks' time will take us to the 11th. Of the yeah, so that's going to be the big one, the camera and the text boxes as well. Making sure everything still works properly once the camera controls are sorted out and set. Especially if you've got moving between rooms, because it should be a set camera for a lot of them. So I do want to carry on with the chat system as well as a second big update. So continue developing chat system, specifically conversations between characters. So at the moment, as I said, I've got it to the text box to appear once you hit something. So I need a separate set of text boxes that scroll when you click either space or enter. Want to try and remove the cursor as well. We also need to put in some sort of option system, which I need to write to phase 1 as well. And possibly like some sort of intro screen, but again, that's going to be probably the end of phase 1 once I've got something to actually work with. So that's going to be the main crux of the week. There's going to be niggling issues as well, as I said, like the text box is staying the same size, but the camera, sorting out the camera and developing the chat system as well are going to be the next two big things over the week. Once they're sorted, I'm going to be happy to move on to building something better. But at the moment, it's these crucial things that we need sorting. So if there is anything else I think I should be working on as a priority, just let me know down in the comments, please. Because like collectibles and weapon upgrades and things like that. If completed above, start on wall jump system. Probably going to have this as a separate. Even if I started it, and I can disable the code if I'm going live on the 11th. It might be started, but it might not work. If you know what I mean, because I need it to work properly to be able to actually run the game and actually show you what's happening. Even if there's it is crazy that even if I go on to objects, player 1, even if I put in something like a completely random close brackets, the game will refuse to run. Malformed assignment. It is crazy how specific this sort of stuff has to be. So, as I said, if I need to remove something, it's easy enough to just remove code temporarily. Just remove that small piece of code. That being said, that won't actually, that is the basic movement of that character, so I kind of need that part. So do you plan on full world building or just enough for the game? It is going to be a full world. Well, it's going to be the game world built as the prison, and I'm going to be expanding on the different regions in the worlds within text to be possibly developed in number 2 if they escape and everyone lives happily ever after and things like that. At the moment, as I said, phase 2 is going to be the big game creation. At the moment, it's going to be engine development. when we get there, I'll be looking at developing the castle and the factions and everything like that. Whether from there is going to be a world there. I want the player to feel like there's a world outside of this prison, and it has what happens in the prison could have real world consequences outside of it. But as I said, that's going to be phase 2 in the character development, the NPC character development, the castle. I keep calling it castle. I need to cross it out and put prison. In the story of the game, things like that. When it comes down to writing it. So, thank you all very much for showing up. This is my plan for the next 2 weeks. As I said, there's going to be lots of niggling things I'm going to be talking about as and when, and I might even think of some extra things just that could just be very quick, sorting out things. Some of it could just be busy work. Some of it is just got to sort it out as and when needed. So thank you all very much for coming in, checking it out. As I said, if you haven't hit that like button, please hit the like button. If you've got anything to say about the project, please just let me know in the comments. Subscribe if you don't subscribe. As I said, the more the YouTube channel builds here, the more people are going to see the actual game and the development of the game. So it really will help out. Thank you all very much, and I'll see you all later.